Good morning, Manitoba. I'm Larry McIntosh, and I'll be your host for the next hour every Saturday morning from 8 to 9. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you've seen Peak of the Market Sesame Street potato bags featuring 9 different Sesame Street characters. There's Elmo, Big Bird, Grover, Oscar, Abby Cadabby, Rosetta, Cookie Monster, Bert, and Ernie. And if you haven't seen these in your local store, please ask your manager where they're hiding. Along with the characters, you'll still see the Peak of the Market logo, so you are guaranteed it is grown right here in Manitoba. And by the way, Manitoba-grown Peak of the Market red and russet potatoes are available right now in your local store. We're very pleased to partner with Sesame Street on the Eat Biter program. And the Sesame Street Eat Biter program is all about encouraging children and adults to eat more fruits and vegetables. My guest this morning is Peggy May, CEO of Southport. Good morning, Peggy.
Good morning, Larry. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. Do you have a favorite Sesame Street character?
Oh, I think Grover was always my favorite.
Grover, yeah. He's a colorful guy. Right?
He was cute, yeah.
Well, still is cute.
Yeah.
He hasn't really changed.
That's true.
Unlike me, and
right.
over the years I've changed. He hasn't really changed. Well, thanks for being on the show. So, for those that may not know about Southport, I think a lot of people know it's in Portage and it's an airport, but tell us a little bit about the history of it.
Okay, well, I'm happy to do that. Southport, of course, was a military base for many years during the war, and in 1990, the base was scheduled to close, and there was a number of people in Portage-la-Prairie that decided that this would be a big economic hit to the area, and really championed a project to go out and try to keep the base there. And as it turned out, the government gave Southport, they formed a new entity called Southport, gave Southport the land, which is about 807 hectares, with all of the facilities and equipment and everything to Southport to manage in the long term. And as part of that, the military decided that they would continue the Air Force training, the air pilot training at that location. So they do lease some of the land and buildings from us. And we've been operating Southport since 1992 very successfully. We employ about 530 people out there between the military and the civilian entity that operates that, which is called KF Aerospace Defense Division. And a number of other tenants like Southern Health, Santé Sud, has about 60 employees. And ATI, which is a company that makes airport snow removal equipment.
Okay, yeah.
Cleaners and sweepers and things. And then we have Red River College Stevens Aviation Program, which is an AME program, aircraft maintenance engineer program, very specialized, very unique. It's the only one of its kind in Canada because it is an apprenticeship program and it happens in Portage only. So we're kind of proud of that one. And then we also have ACC from Brandon, Assiniboine Community College out of Brandon that has an LPN program there. So a variety of businesses, and we also have 188 residential units. So we also have about 600 people that live there every day. And in addition to that, we have accommodation buildings because we do accommodate the military, the pilot, the Air Force pilots as they're in training. And we also accommodate some of the students that are there for Red River College and some of the ones that are there for Assiniboine Community College. So we're kind of like...
You're everything, really.
We're a little bit everything. We're like a small town.
So we're going to touch on many of those areas over the next hour, but I want to go back a little bit. So it was when did you...
1992 when Southport started.
Okay, so doing some research for this, and I was quite fascinated. I knew about the airport, and I knew you did some other things, but we're going to talk about all the things you're doing, including what you just talked about. But let's take a step back. The Air Force Base, when it was 1940 when it was opened there?
That's correct, 1940.
So I remember when they were closing the base and people trying to do that whole thing, but I didn't realize it had been there that long and such a key part of the community, really.
It was a key part of the community. And as you can imagine, with that many people working and living in an area the size of Portage, which is about 13,000 people, it made a huge impact financially on the area. So to the thought of losing a whole Air Force base was significant to the community. So that's, the champions, they called themselves Save the Base group at the time and really did fight to keep them there. But some of that business moved on and some of it stayed. And we're still fortunate enough to have the majority of the Air Force training for pilots happening out of Southport. As a matter of fact, I think they use the term 80%. 80% of Canadian pilots working for the military, for Canadian forces, get trained and get their wings at Southport.
Now, being out in Portage quite a bit because we have a lot of gurus in that area, I've seen helicopters. Is it helicopter training?
It's
or-
both.
Oh,
It's
both, okay.
helicopter and fixed wing. So they have a variety of aircraft. They have a King Air and a small Globe aircraft, and then they have two different helicopters that they train on there. So yes, you see a lot of helicopters in our area, in our backyards, and yeah, it's quite exciting. And we get occasional visitors from the military as well. A few weeks ago, we had 3 Chinooks land, and they landed in synchrony. I guess that's what they say, synchronized all together, and that was exciting. It was just it was amazing to watch them. And there's 10 crew on each one, and yeah, it's a big event. So we do get quite a few visitors from time to time from other aircraft.
Well, and you do private aircraft there
Yes,
as well, right?
absolutely. If you have a private aircraft, you can land in our airport.
I
on our
do not
airfield.
have a private aircraft.
Well,
But
I'm
we
surprised.
yeah, really. But we had a visitor come from Galen Weston from Loblaws, which owns Superstore and Extra Foods and some others in the province. He came out with a whole bunch of his people and landed at your airport to visit some of our fields a couple years back.
Well, and we'd love to have more of that. I think on one of your commercials, don't you have somebody come visit you on a aircraft and
That's a smaller aircraft, though.
Oh.
That's pretty small.
UAV?
Yeah.
We do that too.
We're talking with Peggy May, CEO of Southport. We'll be right back after this break for your weather update. Welcome back. I'm Larry McIntosh. Peak of the Market is on Twitter. Please follow us at Peak of the Market for recipes and Food and Friends guest updates. We have over 210,000 Twitter followers, and we'd love to have you follow us too. Again, we're at Peak of the Market, or you can follow me at Larry McIntosh. We're back with Peggy May, CEO of Southport. So we're just talking off air about all the things that are happening out there. And some of your board members, Graham Starmer, who's been on the
Yes.
show, used to be with the Chamber of Movement,
Correct.
now retired. I think he's working with the Manitoba Association of Food Banks.
That's correct.
Paulette Connery, a friend of ours,
Yes.
in the Portage area there. And
It's our audit chair, yes.
audit chair. Oh,
Yes.
good audit chair.
Yes,
Good.
she
Yeah,
is.
She knows our numbers.
That
So-
is true.
So you were talking about the airport. Now, how many runways do you have?
We have 2 runways. We have a
Okay.
7,000-foot runway. Well, we actually have 4 runways. I shouldn't say that. We have 4 runways, but we use the 7,000-foot one
Okay, so
all the time.
for those that may not know, like myself, is that long?
Yes. I suppose we could land a 737. I don't know if we'd want to land one every day, but yes, we could land one there.
So is it one of the, other than the Winnipeg airport, would that be one of the longer runways?
Yes. Yes, it would. Yes. Right now, I believe it's a little longer than the Brandon Airport runway.
That's interesting. So
Yeah.
you hope to one day to get charters in there? Is that part of the goal?
Hope to one day. That's a good question. We could
I
certainly
pride myself
handle.
in having good
Yeah.
questions.
We could certainly do a charter. Sure, we could. We did talk to Merv Gunter recently about maybe having a charter trip out of Portage up to Churchill, and
Right.
so we've been talking to a number of people out there about that idea. And certainly we could handle cargo business. We could probably do some sked. It is our airport. We do own the airport, although the military do use it every day, Monday to Friday. There's still lots of time for landing aircraft. So we haven't explored all of those opportunities yet, but we're still working with the military on growing their program a little bit too. But our airport certainly is one of our strengths. It is why we, one of the reasons why we're there.
So is there an opportunity to train pilots from other countries? Like I know you do the Canadian military, but is there an opportunity to do others?
Yes, certainly Kelowna Flightcraft, who runs the KF Aero program and does all of the training of the military pilots. Not all of the training, I shouldn't say. They do all the Phase 1 training, and then the military themselves are there as well as trainers, and they do train for other programs. But yes, they've had pilots from Saudi Arabia there, and we've had pilots from England, and I think they are still looking for new business all the time. They're always out there. They were in Italy, I believe, last month. They were at a conference, and they were in London. They were at the Paris Air Show looking for new business. And so yes, we are constantly trying to find new business, and so are they. And we've had a couple of contracts come and look at our space for potential pilot training. I don't think they've been successful yet, so therefore we haven't been successful. But we'll keep our options open.
So the interesting thing, being an air base built in the 1940s, it's now a lot of years later, maintenance and upgrades, that must be a large challenge of you every day.
It is a large challenge. And, we are one of the only airports that is not funded by the government. We don't get any government funding at all. We are self-supportive, and we live off our leases and our tenants and such. And every dollar we make, we invest back into the airfield and to the property. We are not for profit, but what lease dollars we get from our tenants, we invest back into the airfield. We just put a $4 million apron in last year, so we have to maintain it so that it's
$4 million apron.
Yes,
That's
incredible.
a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. Yeah, and we're very proud of it. And it was a great partnership with our tenant, because they had to maneuver and move their equipment and their schedules around to accommodate that, but they're very helpful, and it was a great project.
So logistically, that had to be interesting. But I'm just thinking, I know you were with Winnipeg Airports Authority for a while. We've had Barry Rimple on the show a few times.
Yes.
And I know at Winnipeg they have hotels and a gas station. There's other things going on as well. But it seems like you have a very diverse portfolio as far as the number of things you have going on out there.
It's true. It's much different from the Winnipeg Airport, where there's no passengers at our airport currently. And that was part of the excitement of being at the Winnipeg Airports Authority. Lots of passengers, lots of experiences, and you live by people coming and going, and it's always exciting and something new. Our airport is more like a small town, because we have not only the airport and all of the commercial tenants that we have on site, but we also have accommodation buildings of our own, and we have the residential side, but no passengers.
Right.
So it's more like running a small town. Yeah.
And you were saying in the last segment, how many people would be out there?
Well, we have 530 people that are employed there full time, and they're in high-paying jobs. There are many engineers and pilots and trainers and educators. And we have 600 people that live in our accommodations in our residential area. That's all rental units that, we're responsible for roads and sewers and all of those things. And we have 300 students every year that come and go and stay in their accommodation facility. So any day of the week, you could have 1,500 people wandering around the site. And then we have, of course, our recreation areas too. So we have a golf course and a gym and tennis courts and soccer fields and baseball diamonds.
It is really like a little town.
It is.
We're speaking with Peggy May, CEO of Southport. We're going to take a break for your cottage country weather. We'll be right back. Welcome back, friends. I'm Larry McIntosh. Today's featured recipe of the day at peakmarket.com and in the Winnipeg Free Press is deluxe peas. There are lots of vegetables in this recipe, including mushrooms, celery, red peppers, and of course peas. So deluxe peas is today's recipe of the day in the Winnipeg Free Press and at peakmarket.com. And both the Free Press and our website have a new recipe every single day, 7 days a week, so please make sure you check them out. On Thursday, the Canadian Red Cross announced this year's Humanitarian of the Year awards. They recognize past, present, and future humanitarians. The past recipient is the late John Macaulay. The present recipient, and this is awkward, but I'm going to say it anyway, the present recipient was myself, and I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to be recognized. There's certainly lots of great Manitobans that are more deserving of this award than I am, but I'm truly honored. And the future recipient in Stonewall's own Rihanna Holter Ferguson, an incredible young lady that we're going to hear lots about in the years to come. She's already done a lot. She's only 19 years old, and she's out there doing things that make me feel like I have a part-time job, so good for her. The awards are going to be presented at the Canadian Red Cross annual luncheon on September 10th at the Delta Winnipeg. So if you're interested in getting tickets, please visit redcross.ca/luncheon tickets. And love to have a good support out there. Of course, the money goes back to the Canadian Red Cross, which does great work in our province and all over the world, as we all know. Tickets, I think, are about $75 each. So please come out and support it. It's redcross.ca/luncheon tickets, and it takes place again on September 10th at the Delta Winnipeg, honoring some great people. And certainly, I'm very pleased to be in that list. We'll be right back with Peggy May, CEO of Southport, after we take this break for your news, sports, and weather. Welcome back. I'm Larry McIntosh. Food and Friends Radio is on TV. Each radio show is filmed and we posted on Mytoba.ca later today. So if you want to see the TV version of this or previous radio shows, please visit Mytoba.ca. Thanks to 680 Studio B's Nicole, who produces our show, and Riley, who operates the camera, as well as the teachers of the Broadcasting and Media Arts program at TechVoc High School. You can also listen to an audio podcast of Food and Friends at SoundCloud.com and at the iTunes Store. So just do a search for Food and Friends with Larry at Mytoba.ca or SoundCloud.com or at the iTunes Store, and all the shows will come up for your listening or viewing pleasure. Now, it's very important for me to mention that Food and Friends is only available because of 680 CJOB and its advertisers. So please make sure you tune in here every Saturday morning at 8 or listen live at cjob.com. We're back with Peggy May, CEO of Southport. So in the last half hour, we're talking about Southport and all the things going on, but let's talk about you.
Oh, okay.
So are you from Manitoba originally?
I am. Born and raised here in Winnipeg. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, great.
Yep.
So what's your first, you went to school here in Winnipeg?
Yes, went to school, high school, Silver Heights Collegiate, which is no more, unfortunately. And I started right into the hotel business right out of school, and took a lot of hotel training along the way. But that's how I started, and it was kind of I guess it's kind of a path of my career. I went from heads and beds to bums and seats when I left the hotel business after, I guess, 12 years. And I think my last hotel was Holiday Inn Winnipeg downtown, which ended up to be Holiday Inn Crown Plaza. We made the change there, and then I went from there to IMAX and spent 15 years with them. And
you went to IMAX?
I did.
Well, tell us a little bit about the IMAX experience.
Oh, that was very exciting. You know, IMAX was of course, Winnipeg, through the Forks North Portage Partnership, brought in the first corporate theater that IMAX owned and operated, and it was here in Winnipeg, and it was in the North Portage site.
Right.
And I was there for a couple of years, and as we were the first corporate theater, then they took over the golf ball in Vancouver, and we built another one at Eau Claire Market in Calgary. And so we had three corporate theaters, and we became the experts. And then they started sending us theater managers out around the world to train. Around the world. I spent time in India and Japan and China and Asia. Yeah, we were just busy. We were out with theaters. There was 22 theaters that opened in Japan, and part of us going to these theaters was to make sure that they were all cookie cutters, that they were all built the same or managed the same, or we planned the first year's marketing program. So that was pretty exciting times, and I really enjoyed my time there.
So at all the places you traveled, not just including that time, but where outside of Manitoba, what's your favorite place?
Oh, favorite place, Malta, I think.
Malta, really?
I loved Malta. It was a great little island in the middle of nowhere, and everything was white and beautiful, and yeah, they really appreciated everything about us coming there and bringing a theater, and they put it right in the middle of a shopping center, which was interesting. It was kind of, at the time, that was unusual for IMAX theaters because they were always in institutions and things, but yeah, that was a fun time. I think that was beautiful. That was a nice holiday too.
So after your IMAX experience, where did you go?
Right after IMAX, I went right to the Winnipeg Airports Authority. So there I went from heads and beds to bums and seats. And again, after IMAX, because we were kind of bums and seats then too. And I went to the Winnipeg Airports Authority, and they were just talking about the building. They had just had a first, probably an initial look at what a new airport would look like, where it would be. And they found out that I had a lot of concessions backgrounds, and I ended up to be that part of the team. But I was the director of marketing, so we did a lot of planning and design work, and I worked with a lot of the designers on the concessions, and we had a team that was in charge of getting it done on budget, on time. Well, that things change and things happen.
Right, yeah.
But I can't tell you how proud I am of that facility. Just being a part of it was very exciting, and I still, I travel through there quite often still, and it's still nice to go through that brand new airport and look at all those great things that happened and the great
it must give you a great feeling knowing you're involved at the planning stage.
It was a lot of fun, and we had a great team there. I think they still have a great team there, and excited that there's a new airline coming, and yeah.
And then on to Southport?
And then on to Southport, yeah. So I've been there 2.5 years now.
So what drew you to Southport?
Somebody called.
Somebody
called. And, in some ways, Winnipeg Airports, once the airport was built and a year had passed, it was kind of like the day after Christmas. You know, it was like, oh, what's next? Not that it wasn't still exciting. There was
Sure.
still lots to do, and there's still lots to do, I'm sure. But yeah, somebody called and thought that this would be a good fit. And at first, I wasn't really sure, but yeah, the more I'm there, the more I like it. Yeah.
And so what's your biggest challenge out there, do you think?
Biggest challenge is keeping the momentum, I think, because there's a comfort with having a contract till 2027 with the military or with our key tenant. But there's so much more we could do. We still have 80 hectares of frontline airfield that we could grow on and build on, and there's an aging population in Portage, and I think we want to grow it. It hasn't grown for a long time, and I think we are a big integral part of helping that area grow and succeed. Certainly, we're an
almost
economic.
a part of the economic development. I was gonna
We
say.
are
Sorry to interrupt
definitely
you. Yeah.
economic impact. We are $100 million in economic impact to the area. So, yeah, we're a big contributor, and I think we could be more. We just have to find those connections, and we're trying to work with some of the other businesses with PRED, which is Portage Regional Economic Development, and the city and the RM to look for opportunities on what else we can do out there to grow the market a little bit.
We're speaking with Peggy May, CEO of Southport. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. I'm Larry McIntosh. I wanted to let you know that kale and leeks are now in your local grocery store and your Manitoba grown, as well as red and russet potatoes. And by the end of next week, you'll see Manitoba grown zucchini in your stores. Then we go on to mid-July, where we're going to have beets, green, red, and Savoy cabbage, cauliflower, and cucumbers. The crops are coming off now. It's a very exciting time of year as we watch all these Manitoba grown crops getting harvested. And please remember, if it says peak of the market on the label, you're guaranteed it is grown right here in Manitoba. We're back with Peggy May, CEO of Southport. Do you have a favorite vegetable?
Favorite vegetable, asparagus.
Done this year. We're buying this now.
Connery Farms was right next to us, and we got some fresh stuff for the last little while. It's been fantastic.
It's too short a season. Only
It
7
is.
weeks long.
Is it only 7 weeks?
7 weeks
Oh,
long. It goes fast.
does.
But excited with all these other things coming up. The kale and leeks is
Yes, I'm
they're
a kale
becoming
fan.
bigger crops every year. People are eating more of those, and then of course zucchini, and away we go. You should
Wow.
grow some on the airport property.
Well,
there.
we probably could, except for where that would attract birds, and we don't really want
Oh, you
birds.
guess
there.
that's a bad thing, right?
It's an airport.
So
Not a good thing.
you're talking the last half hour about all of the businesses that are there, but you mentioned
Yes.
something about a recreational center. Was it?
Yes, we have a huge recreation facility. We have a gym that actually attracts students from some of the smaller towns. St. Claude comes and uses our gym, and students are coming from as much as 40 miles away to use our facility, which is fantastic. But we used to have an aquaplex. We had a pool, and then when Portage built PCU Center and the pools, the hockey rinks, and everything, this building has been sitting vacant for 5, almost 6 years. And when buildings sit vacant, they deteriorate, and we thought, well, with almost 1,500 people coming and going off our properties, and military being very much into being physically fit, and they do use the gym and they use all of our facilities, we thought it was time to look at what we could do with that space that was just being vacant and deteriorating. So we have a plan. We put out a tender, and we filled in the pools. We actually did that last year. So now we're working on a new running track inside. We're putting all the weight room and cardio room. We're bringing it up into the light. We're adding some more windows in this facility, and we're putting in a climbing wall at where the old deep end of the pool used to be. So we thought that was kind of a creative use of that space. So it's going to be a bright, big open space to attach to our gym, which will make us more of a destination, and I think service the people that live there more. But I think the most exciting part of this is that we're building a daycare right on site, because the military, of course, need daycare, and right now there's not enough spaces anywhere for daycare, but certainly in Portage we're short more than 400 spaces, I understand, and if we can add 28 spaces for toddlers, for preschool children in our facility, it makes it so much easier for the military families to be there on site and feel good about where their children are. And then there's a place where mom and dad can drop off the kids and go to the gym too. Maybe in the evening, if they want to go work out, they can drop their children off at the daycare center and go and enjoy that facility. So in addition to that, we'll have a little bit of a restaurant facility, and we'll add some vending for banking machines and make it a kind of a focal point, a critical mass on site. So we're very excited.
That is
about
very exciting.
Yeah.
We were talking off air during the commercials there, but I have the opinion that it's an airport. It's a base. It's like closed off. People can't go in there unless you have business there. That isn't the case, right?
No, absolutely not. We're wide open. We have no gates, and it's an avid community. As a matter of fact, we were walking through residential the other day, and flowers are blooming, kids are playing in the street, and, like, it's very safe, lovely neighborhood, and it's just short distance from Portage. It's less than 3 kilometers out, from the city, and it's a very safe neighborhood and lots to see and do. And you can come out to the golf course and have lunch. You can play a game of golf. It's a great little course, and our pro Dennis is there and be happy to teach you how to putt. He hasn't been able to teach me yet, but and you can have dinner at the dining hall. There is a dining hall there that feeds and services all of our pilots and trainers. So yeah, that's open.
So anybody can come to the dining hall?
Anybody can, yes.
So why didn't I know all this?
I don't know. You'll have to come and visit
Well, Shelley
us.
and I are going to have to come out and visit
That's
you
right,
for sure.
Shelley, and
because
you will have to come.
I think, and I want to say it's a secret because I'm sure lots of people know other than me, but it's amazing everything that's going on out there.
We are busy. We're making things happen. We're trying to connect with the community a little bit more and trying to let people know that we have more things to offer, and we have spaces for lease and hangar space that we'd like to expand on.
So in your time as CEO of Southport, what is your number one accomplishment? What are you most proud of?
Oh, boy. What am I most proud of? Pretty proud of our apron. It's a pretty wonderful addition to the airport. But I think mostly I'm proud that we've been able to connect all of the tenants. We've been really building on relationships and things. We also filled a building that hasn't been filled for 10 years. It's been empty with Nutripy. As a matter of fact, you're probably familiar with them.
Yes.
They moved into our warehouse building, which has been wonderful for us to have a tenant there that in a building that's been vacant for so long. But I think this Recplex is going to be a pretty significant part of the package out there. It's going to add a sense of community spirit and a sense of place for it's going to be our front door, probably, kind of like what we used to say at the airport. It's going to be where people find places to have coffee and to connect with other people. And yeah,
What's your dream of the future for that?
Dream of the future is to get more training happening out there. I think we're a perfect site for training with all of our accommodation building, and that could be pilot training, or that could be perhaps we need an agricultural program out there because we are in peak of the market, aren't we? Right there.
Right in that territory,
Yep.
absolutely. A lot of great growers around there.
Yes.
So you see it continue to move forward, and because it's difficult getting all partners to work together and move in one direction. I mean, that's true with anything, right?
It is true. And there's such a variety of partners out there, a variety of tenants, but they're all successful in their own right. And I think to finding things that fit and match up with those tenants that we have currently is going to be kind of key, too. So we do look for opportunities. So we'll probably work with the Assiniboine Community College and see if there's another program that they might be able to offer out there, or work with Red River College on aviation training programs. Maybe there's something else, because I know some of those AMEs do work for Canadian Helicopters on our site, and they work for Kelowna Flightcraft. So there is opportunity for new jobs. And of course, we're right in the middle of 4 First Nations communities there, so we think that there's opportunity there as well.
We're speaking with Peggy May, the CEO of Southport. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Food and Friends. Please join me on Wednesday, July 1st at 2 o'clock for a Canada Day special edition of Food and Friends. Richard Cloutier and Kathy Kennedy will be broadcasting live from the Canada Day events at Assiniboine Park from noon to 2, and then it's back to the studio for an hour of Food and Friends from 2 to 3 with me. Canadians have so many reasons to celebrate Canada Day. I hope you've started planning a celebration of your own. It's great to get out to the festivals, but really make sure we celebrate what a great country we live in. My guest today has been Peggy May, CEO of Southport. This has been fascinating hearing about everything that's going out in Portage la Prairie at Southport. Thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been great.
I assume you have a website if people are interested
Yes,
in it?
absolutely. Southport.ca anytime, and we're upgrading that, and we'll have a new website for the Recplex as well.
Great, Southport.ca. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peggy, for being on the show again, and take care, everybody. Please don't forget to eat your veggies.